Not one blue saki, not one rice bread, not one crush, not a bit of grass. We love the open country of the rural colony and the Essequibo. Take time on night, though we may criticize it. This is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right, so we ain't giving up no more. We ain't giving up. We ain't giving up no. We ain't giving up.
Welcome to Facing the Nation for December 16, 2022. And of course, it's a privilege for us to be sitting here with you in your living rooms, on your phones, etc. Today, as I usually do, I'm going to ask you to, call up a neighbor, call up a friend, tell them that Facing the Nation is on Channel 6. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, the People's National Congress Reform Facebook page and the APNU AFC Facebook page. Today's show will be quite an interesting one because, as you know, this week a lot has happened, and then we have a few other things that we need to talk to you about. So I'm going to give you a little recap of what really happened this week, what is the hot stuff that we're about to talk about and deal with the issues. And then we will talk to my guest today, who will be no stranger to you all. So let's go to that video.
Of the vendors who ply their trade in front of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. Here are those events.
I can drive it too. I know all the rules. I don't want it there.
This is advantage that the police is encouraging here, man. This is political instruction. This is political instruction. This is political instruction. This can't happen. We have to face something like this at the city council. First time in history under the PPP government, we have to face this kind of bullyism by the Ghana police force, being instructed by this government. And this is what they call caring for poor people. President Ali should be ashamed of himself. Shame to do poor people these things. He don't have a heart. He sleep in the state house. He and his family get everything up to date at the state house, while these people suffering to make a living for their kids. President Ali should be ashamed. Bully these poor people and go into the international community and tell him that he for all Guyana. Hello Guyana. This is what the president is encouraged in this country. Shameful, because these people are Afro-Guyanese. Then he go and say that he's not a racist president. He's more than racist. I said so.
It is alleged on the 12th December 2022 at Market Street, Georgetown.
Come back. So today with me, as you have seen the recording there, a lot of what was discussed and talked about this week, what would have led to a lot of the pushback and the little fights that we had during the week, is what you saw the mayor of Georgetown speaking about as vendors' rights were being trampled on. So with me today, as I promised last week, my guest is none other than Mr. Darren Wade, who is an attorney at law. And I want to say welcome to Facing the Nation. I think this is your first time with me on this program. Welcome.
That is correct, and thank you for having me.
It's definitely my privilege to have you here today. I have to do, I know I want to get in. We saw that video. I really want to get into the discussion. But my viewers are customary that they need to know a little bit about the person sitting on the program.
You sure you need to do this?
Before.
You're sure you need to do this?
Yes, I really need to do this. So I'm gonna let you go at just where did you grow up?
Okay, so
where are you from?
Right. I'm from a village on the west coast of Berbice called Litchfield. That's yes, I'm a West Barbician.
Lovely. I think on this show we have a lot of Barbicians and a lot of persons from Linden, and it says something about politics to me in Guyana. And with that, I want to ask you one other question. You are doing the work that you're doing, you're attorney at law, and you have been pretty much the face of representation for people whose rights have been trampled on, especially by this current regime. We see you there, just every time we have matters, you're always there. And I want to have an idea of how did you get into politics or the representation of people in that sense?
Well, let the record reflect that I instituted matters under our regime, under the David Granger-led administration, where persons' rights were violated, and one case is under the David Granger regime. So this is not something specific or directed to the current PBP administration. I instituted matters then. But what is different then to now is that back then, if an officer or someone acted out of line, there were no political interference then. But certainly now what we would have seen is that the police force are taking directives from the political hierarchy of this country.
And it makes the work a bit more pressing.
Yes, certainly.
All right. Well, I want us to, of course, get into the conversation of what we just saw on the video, where we now know that the mayor of Georgetown, Mr. Rubaj, has been charged, and so is Member of Parliament, Mr. Sherrod Duncan, with several charges. And I want you to be able to, brief my audience with what's happening and what's this case about.
Yes, well, certainly we all saw the incident that transpired, or incidents. So there was the incident at New Market Street. New Market Street, pursuant to Section 2 of the city bylaws in relation to council roads, define council roads, define New Market Street as one of those council roads. That is, the government of Guyana has no authority over that road. It belongs, the ownership and that right is of property ownership is also protected by the Constitution of Guyana. It is not a road provided for under the Roads Act that gives Mr. Edghill or the Ministry of Public Works any authority. We just want to establish that. Recently, the court would have made such similar rulings. I would have done a matter before where they went and bulldozed. There was a parking lot at East Street where the court ruled that the Ministry of Public Works were unlawfully entered onto that property since it does not belong to them. It is East Street. So it's a similar line of argument. I would have dispatched a letter to the Attorney General office, the Code Attorney General Anil Nandalal, informing him and reminding him of that case, and reminding him that the government has no authority over New Market Street, and remind him of the ruling of the case and so forth. So if they had forgotten, and many of the times when they act, this agency act, the Attorney General probably is not aware of what transpired. So you have to sue the Attorney General once, any office, whether it's a police. So that's why the Attorney General is a party to the matter. Yes. I'm sure he's going to advise them the correct way that that you can't do this. I'm sure. I'm not politically, probably he will come on TV and cuss up and carry on, probably, and talk up, But legally, he will have to say, well, this is not under your jurisdiction. You have no authority. He should at least advise them. I trust that he's going to, be honest, and frank as required by the law to do that. So they went and tried to dispossess the vendors who were occupying that area, and the mayor stood in. He defended it, said, no, this is wrong. And quite frankly, he was correct, because as I would have shown, they have no authority over that area by law.
Correct.
So
their actions were basically therefore illegal.
Yeah, certainly it's illegal. It's illegal. Both it could be enforced both in the civil court and in the criminal court. One may want to say that they could institute criminal proceedings against those persons who are there, or against those persons who are contracted, because they criminally acted. That will be a serious issue. We want to see how that will act, how that will go out in the courts, in the court system. Yes, because let us say the police go to give evidence and say we were there. If the police were there to supervise some, the police would be acting criminally as well. So let us say we will have evidence to use against the police force, and I want to make this clear out there. And it's something the legal team we will have to examine, because when the statements in this matter is served on Mr. Duncan and Mr. Eugene, we will look at the statements to see who say they were on the Market Street at night, and if they were there, then they're part of criminal enterprise, and they will have to be charged and placed before the court. So that will be examined, because under Section 32 of the Summary Jurisdiction Act, trespass is a criminal offense. There's also civil proceedings that could be instituted against them. We see what happens with the Tomiko Clark incident recently. One will have to examine whether or not that authority that the DPP has, whether it is unfettered. Certainly it is not. So, because there's also the threat whenever, what we have seen by the DPP recently, whenever you institute these common law or primary criminal, she go and she withdraw them. So as parties, we will need to challenge what if she withdraw, just challenge, take her to court, and take it right up, because they had no authority. They had no authority whatsoever, and so let us see how that goes. In addition to the procedure that could be instituted, if they go into the box, they will be implicating themselves criminally. So that will also as an issue.
So from what you're outlining here, there will be several issues or several matters as well that can come from any admission as well from the person who would have participated in the New Market Street issue in terms of the police, etc.
Yes, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult for them to come to court and say we were there. What were you doing? What were you doing on New Market Street that night?
Well, I know because we see how specifically this government operates with especially the law enforcement, because we understand that as we are watching everything that is unfolding here, that they're basically taking political directives. And a lot of the time, they may have no real legal advice. They're taking instructions and doing as. And I mean, as you're clearly pointing out here, there may be consequences to just operating, taking political instructions in this case. What I want our viewers to have more information on, because like I said, we just saw the video, we saw what the mayor did, what he said, and there is talk about the charges that have been laid. Could you break down for me what are the charges that are brought before the mayor and the MP?
Right. So there are two traffic offenses that they're charged with: obstruction of traffic. I don't know what traffic was obstructed, who they obstructed from passing, where that person will need to come to court and say to the court that these people obstructed me. That'll be very interesting to see how. Yeah, very interesting. They are the charge that they use a computer device to incite. But I'm studying what computer device.
Well,
The both persons, both persons were charged, Mr. Duncan and Mr. Hubert, right? They used their own phone. I don't know that. I don't know what computer device they're talking about and so on. And there's
that's the third charge.
mhm. And then there's a charge under the Racial Hostility Act that they were inciting.
They were racially incited.
Yes.
That's what they're charged for.
Yes.
I know a lot of questions were being asked in the public domain in regards to these cases. I would have heard, persons out there commenting like, how do you charge the mayor particularly for any racial act when we are literally watching at the government who is they're the ones who seem to be, operating in a very racist manner with the way they are, handing out resources, and this is the major complaint being
Yes.
put out
Mhm.
by the population. So I don't know.
In addition to this charge, let us say the charge go past. Because I see it's an harassment. I don't see how successful this, respectfully, it would be. But let us say we reach the point whereby we have to call defense people. This is the amazing inciting. We will have the opportunity to subpoena government officials. Remember the embarrassment. Remember the Barry Jack, your Freddie Kisun incident.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereby Jack, you basically pull up his pants and run from that matter. He ran. So there would be an embarrassment. There would be a very embarrassed situation because you subpoena somebody like the Vice President Barry Jack to attend court. You subpoena Gates Shearer. And we were able then at that point in time to embarrass them because they will have to attend court because the Constitution clearly states that the prosecution ought to provide whatever avenue that the defendant needs to his defense. That's very clear in the Constitution. So if we need these people, it's okay, you charge this man. We need to prepare our defense. These are the records we need. We need these persons to come to court because we want to subpoena them. We want to bring them to court. They have to provide them.
So, to this, right? So they have 4 charges based on what you said here that are coming up for them. Have there been any dates issued in terms of when they will return?
Yes, the matter is adjourned. Basically, the 20th and the 29th, respectfully. The 20th was for the serious one, which is before the Chief Justice, the other 2. And the traffic court has the other, the traffic court is on the 29th. The 34th, sorry. Initially said the 29th, but then you realize the 29th is on a Sunday. So it's on the 34th. Yeah.
But yeah.
Monday or Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
So these matters are set here because that's another question persons were asking, what dates will they be appearing in court again? And I think that is something we need to know. On a political level, though, how do you categorize what you're seeing, particularly in this case?
Well, certainly, I've made a point. There's an infringement of the freedom of speech, freedom of expression provisions in the Constitution of Guyana. There's also the United Nations declarations that deals with various conventions that we would have signed on to that protects one's freedom of expression on political grounds and so forth. That is one of the protections that is afforded. So as the state of Guyana engages, the government of Guyana engages its international responsibility, its international obligation, yes, it has. The government. The mayor was not inciting violence. He did not insult the Muslim community. He did not say the Muslim community is bad. He did not say the Muslim community is wicked. None of those things. When he asked whether or not we enter an Islamic state or a Muslim state, there are Muslim states, for example, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, that we have friendly relations with. We in Guyana does not see an Islamic state as something offensive because we are friends with the United Arab Emirates, Qatar that has the World Cup. We have engagement with them, and an Islamic state or a Muslim country is one that is mainly governed by Muslim laws and so forth. So I find it very strange that persons, the backlash, or not backlash, because we're more or less a surrogate of the PPP. They call up their friends and say, it's your statement.
And not just that, because what I wanted to point out to the viewers, as we see all these things happening, we must call them out. When we saw that protest in front of the mayor's office, I noted very clearly that the persons standing there were from the PYO, and you maybe had one or two persons who you may recognize from the private sector who as well would have issued a statement. And it worries me as a young person in this country when I see things like that. Because what I see from my eyes is the main right for people who are trying to, make a dollar, especially during this Christmas season where everyone is looking to, have some amount of money in their pocket because the cost of living, as most people know around the world, is not easy. More so in Guyana when there are no cushions being provided by the very Fed government. And you have a situation like this presenting itself. And then you have people from the private sector and others raising arms, but you do not see them calling more serious issues out.
But it's very clear that the private sector is biased. It's very clear that the private sector is biased. We could show remember the incident that transpired in Montreal.
Yeah.
About a week ago. They're building a brand new market there for the people of Montreal. I believe the project was in there before. It's in the Bay
Administration, yes.
I believe so. They built stores. The people in Montreal were not happy. The vendors there were predominantly on the PPP supporters. They predominantly the Indo-Guyanese. They deserve the store. They deserve the market, as citizens. What transpired after the dimension or the size of the stores were not satisfactory to them, they went and they broke up the stores. That's a criminal act. Those are criminal actions. The illegality. They should. One will ask the question: why were they charged and placed before the court? They should have been charged and placed before the court. Albeit, it's okay to resolve the matter peacefully and amicably. It's excellent.
Correct.
But why the same respect
hasn't been given
meted out to single black mothers who are more operating on the vendors out there, or why the same respect, the same courtesy
was not given?
They have done nothing wrong. They have not acted criminally or unlawful. Like the people don't want to report, but there's a
because they legally got those spots to do what they were doing. They were given permission
pursuant to the sellers bylaws.
Correct.
That permits street vending.
Correct. And I think that's an important point to be made, because the conversation that you're hearing that some of the supporters on this matter are talking about is as though what the vendors have been doing is some form of illegality, which is not so. They were given permission by the authority who has the power to do so.
By the street sellers bylaws.
And that comes under the city council, which the mayor is the head of. And now
the town clerk's office is responsible for that.
Correct.
And instructions that I would have received that those persons got permission from the town clerk's office
to do what they're doing.
Correct.
But here you have now a government who is coming in heavy-handedly, without discussing with the mayor and city council, going through the procedures to see how we can resolve it. If there is a plan B for them, if we're going to move them, you just come and you issue and you say, we're just removing everything. So therefore, we're not concerned about how you're gonna live for the next couple of days or whatever, despite you do not have the authority to do so. So I think that I'm happy that you brought that up, because that is an extremely important point to make. I mean, if persons are viewing what we saw over the week, this week in this matter, we see the vendors as well, because they they saw the support that the mayor had given, and they're the ones that have come out in support of the mayor as he's been going through this
One woman
issue.
said she has no job to get, she has no husband, she has about 4
Correct.
children to take care of and so on.
I-
And if by chance, and if the reality is that, because I've never heard before they were impeding the traffic or the ambulance thing.
I've never heard of it too. To me, a lot of the issues, if you do have any issues at any point through that street, it's usually the vehicles that are there.
Yeah, yes.
Because I drive there at times, and the only thing I find sometimes you may have a slight issue is the cars that decide to stop in anyway.
But the reality, after this incident arose, I examined because I drive as well, and I drive from time to time the street. And I was thinking, and the viewers too, you
should think about it.
Think about it when you're going through that street. If you have ever been blocked by the vendors, think about it.
Just think about it for a sec. Where are we coming with that? I was wondering if my operator, I remember there was a vendor who was assisting in trying to ensure that the mayor does not get locked up. And she was saying some key things that she talked about, what you were speaking about, where she said, this is what I do for a living. I don't have any other way. I don't want to go and thief. I don't want to go and do anything wrong. I'm just, plying my trade, but I don't know if we have that. Yeah, we do. Let's just play a part of that for the viewers so we can understand what the feeling is like for those vendors today. Mm-hmm. I think this was a very, touching moment, an honest period where she literally said how she was feeling, and she said that with tears in her eyes. And this is the reality of what is happening in this country right now as we speak about these things, because persons are they're trying to make ends meet in this difficult time, and we can't afford to have something like this happening. And I want to talk to our viewers and persons, when there are issues like these, it is us, the citizens, who have to stand up for what is right. It is us, the citizens, who have to call out the government and hold them responsible when they act in this manner, as we also use the legal realm and the court system as well to do it. But we also need the support of the fellow Guyanese. They need to join the fight, because what we are seeing unfolding every day is as if the situation is getting worse. I want to raise another case very quickly, as we I know you as well, you're a very busy person, and I'm sure you have things to
my phone is already going off.
You have things to attend to, but because as well, when I spoke last week, we had the issue of Miss Carol Joseph, who we were dealing with, and I also wanted your comments on that issue.
You see, generally with these matters, as I have mentioned before, I believe it's a political harassment. I believe the government is using the Guyana police force to settle political points, to settle political scores. That is what it's about. Just harassing Ms. Joseph.
The bottom line of it.
And I want the international community, I want all right-thinking members of society to condemn it. We now become a police state.
Clearly, and I think they would have read 14 charges for her.
I believe there was like 16 or something around that.
More than 14.
And I believe next week Wednesday, I believe at night.
Yes, so she appeared at Suku today, and they're being told that she must appear at the Maikoni court next Wednesday. I think that is at 9 o'clock or 8 on Wednesday to have those charges, I suppose, read to her. And this again is another case of political discrimination and victimization. I will give you the opportunity here, I know we touched on the two major cases and we had a good talk about the mayor. I don't know if there is anything maybe outside of what we have seen here, because apart from an attorney at law, I know you're a very good advocate. And if there is anything you want to tell my viewers before you go.
I believe we would have discussed the main issues. I believe the viewers are in tuned to what is going on in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those overseas just continue to call your congressmen, your congresswomen in America,
Mm-hmm.
and show them what is going on. Mr. Narayan, he was one of the signatories to the letter that was sent to the prime the vice president in the United States and so forth. So speak to them, join, be mobilized, join this fight, be mobilized, be ready, you know, to join this fight against this dictatorship that we have in Guyana. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. And I want to thank you for coming on Faith in the Nation. And I hope it's not our last and that we will have further conversations. Thank you so much. At this time, I'll probably allow you to see a bit more of this video as I have my second guest who will join us shortly. To the program. With me at this time, I have another guest who is here for specific reasons. And I mean, what we have been watching at in terms of the video and what we are talking about. For some, it may seem a little far off what we're about to talk about, but I want to tell you it's not. And I think it's very much linked to what we need to be talking about in terms of how we are moving forward and the things that we also plan to do while we continue to mobilize, while we continue to keep an eye on what is happening in our country, and we continue to call for justice, and we continue to call for persons to act the correct way and the manner that they should. So welcome, Mr. Kibwe Copeland. And I know my viewers, he's no stranger to you. He is the current acting chairman of the Guyana Youth Student Movement, and that is the arm of the People's National the youth arm of the People's National Congress Reform. Welcome.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All right. So you're here to talk to us about a very important event that is coming up off the grounds of everything that we have just seen here, let's talk about that.
Green line, for persons who are aware of green line, persons who this might be something new, a new concept. Green line was initially launched in 2012 as a call to boycott an oppressive government and any sportsmen or entertainers who support that government at the expense of our young people and people in general in Guyana. And Green Line, of course, is the event that is held every Boxing Day, the 26th of December, right here at Congress Place of Fire, whereby a person would come, congregate, have a good time. We have music, we have entertainment, but also it's a demonstration of strength of unity that calls against the oppression of, as we know, the PPP. So this year, of course, Green Line is back yet again, right here, right at Congress Place of Fire on the 26th of December. And interestingly, this year the team is Fed Up, the Fed Up edition. And I think that plays into the whole significance of Green Line. People say, why talk about a party now? We're just talking about the suffering of people in the communities. But the event speaks to Fed Up, right? We Fed Up edition, because we Fed Up. We've heard, even when you look at some of the videos that you can see in the live broadcast when you were walking with the mayor and Sheriff Duncan to the police station. I was hearing one of the vendors saying, we fed up, and you always hear this.
It's
this
something
phrase,
we're hearing a lot
right?
now.
Me, myself, sometimes constantly say fed up not consciously would say it, and the term fed up, why do we mean the term fed up? In Guyana, when you look at what happened with the worship mayor, when you look at what happened to the vendors around Christmas time, in the middle of December, despite your need to clean up the place or whatever it is, that hostility, that lack of courtesy to just move people away from their livelihood, we fed up. When you look at the cost of living in the markets, yes, there's some increases, etc., but it does not pat enough for the high cost of living in this country. We fed up. When it comes to utilizing the police force, to be honest, I'm very sorry for our police women and men who are being used as pawns by a political party. It is sad that our police officers have no, it's hard for them to disobey because they also lose their jobs. They also be victimized. So I'm also sorry for them because they're also utilized, the whole police force utilized as a political tool against people. So we fed up. Whatever you could possibly think about that you're fed up of.
GWI, the water is atrocious.
We fed up.
GPL, blackouts.
We fed up.
Yeah.
Even if you realize before Christmas, we fed up. And when we talk about Green Line, we're talking about an event whereby, there's different course of actions that political organizations take, whether it be protests, whether it be demonstrations, whether it be come out in public statements, etc. Political activism. Green Line is whereby you come into a party, you come to the end of the year, the 26th of December, to release some of that frustration. At some point in time, we have to give persons an outlet to release that stress. The tension. In Guyana, this place is a tension. There's a tension pot. It's a tension pot, a spot. So it's very important for us to release that tension. So that is why Green Line, of course, has been hosted this year yet again, to give persons a safe space to come and to release that tension of frustration, of victimization, of I can't do it no more, of I fed up. Come to Green Line on the 26th of December. And it's more than just coming and celebrate, more than just coming and releasing your frustrations, also to come to congregate, to add your voice to the whole concept that people in Guyana are actually fed up. Fed up of a government who's not been taking them seriously, who has been segregating this country, hiding under the umbrella of this one Guyana policy, disrespecting our national motto, which is one people, one nation, one destiny, utilizing to achieve political objectives more than achieve a harmonious society, people in Guyana.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
And so it's a serious situation. It's a serious situation. When I think about it, I was listening to you and Mr. Wade just now, and following the whole process, following everything that's been happening over the few days, and of course for this whole year, we've
had lots of incidents
that has caused people to go into a level of frustration. Saw people to get mental illness. There's so many things that we could touch on. So Green Line is an event, of course, hosted by the Youth Army of the PNCR, which is the Ghana Youth and Student Movement, to release that frustration and to also bring persons together to add their voices to the whole notion that people of Guyana are
Fed up.
We're fed up. We're fed up of the whole reality that politics has become more of a graveyard situation than
Than a betterment, betterment to the
for people
society.
in this country.
And I think it's really important to have that part where, you know, as much as you're coming to relax, you're also coming to support a cause.
Correct, correct.
And with what will be coming, I think I see on the flyer that we will put up a little later, there is also an entry fee, understanding that yes, it's difficult, but we also want to use it as a way that we are able to garner support for other things that we need to get done, as we see what is happening, as the government apparently is ramping up their worst attitude towards the persons. Because I forgot to earlier this week, the popular juice guy, you know, that everybody knows drives wrong on the bus. He has a TikTok page, and I noticed in the news about 2 days ago that he was arrested and charged for cybercrime because he posted talking, because the only video I saw on his TikTok was about the cleaning of the drains at the headquarters of the police commissioner's office, and he is somehow charged for, you know, causing harassment, I think is the charge, to the commissioner of police and the deputy commissioner of police. And this is clearly the attitude we're seeing from the government right now. Anybody who speaks out about anything that you see. And if, I mean, persons do follow the juice man's TikTok, he basically goes around while he's selling his juice, and he would see issues, you know, the road is bad, and speak against it and call out the government and ask them to do stuff about it. And here he is at this, in the same week that we're seeing what's happening to the mayor, what's happening to Miss Joseph, he's as well being arrested for similar action. And, you know, when we see these things ramping up, we also have to come together and ramp up support as well, so that we are able to, you know, fight back. And I cannot emphasize enough how much more as citizens of this country we need to do to help to bring that support, and how much we need to do to, you know, hold the accountable for what is being done
And
to the citizens of Guyana.
adding to that, right? The support in this event is to support the machinery that fuels the advocates who are representing the people of this country who are not represented. Supporting this event is supporting a call against any government that is discriminating against its people, that have its own Guyana, not one Guyana, its own Guyana, that supports one set of people and to the expense of other people. You know, it's against an unfair and unjust society. And we have that this flyer up here just to give some more context on the event itself.
Yes.
It's a good vibe. It's a good vibe. We have Quace Yates, we have DJ Magnum, we have DJ Reality, we even have Mixmaster Tony. We have persons who will come.
Quite a few artists.
Artists who will come and enjoy. You know, you come and enjoy nice music. You have drinks, you have food and sale. It's going to be an event to come and congregate with your people, an event to come and release your frustration in the most positive way. You know, have a nice time.
Yes, I think I am loving this idea, and particularly for this green lime, I'm loving the team. I see on the flyer, and I didn't hear you talk about this, that there are going to be cash prizes for individuals or group with the best attire, the best fed up attire. So it also gives you an opportunity to be creative in how you dress in your outfit, and there is going to be, you know, some prizes, right? You want to tell us about that a little bit more?
Now, you know, as young people, we always like to bring in that bit of creativity and also the opportunity to come and be creative. You know, when you think about being fed up, or you think about the whole term fed up, what costume would you put on? what would be the attire?
What do
And
you
of
think
course,
about?
what
Mhm.
do you think about? You know, how would you come and express that? Of course, you're not here to come naked, right? But how would you come and express yourself? And of course, there's prizes for the best person with the best fed up attire, the best group attire. So you put together your creativity, come together with your team, or even come together with yourself, go in front of the mirror, say, "No, I'm going to put this together." And you come forward, and there's going to be monetary prizes, right? The prize is going to be monetary. And of course, we're going to announce that when you come to the Green Line on the 26th of December in Congress Place Sapphire. Gates will be open at 5 o'clock, and the party will continue to go on. To, promote a very good time. It's a safe space for people, safe space for us to
There'll
come
be
and enjoy
security and
themselves. And it's
everything.
going to be security. We're going to be sharing drinks. We're going to be given to cups and these kind of things. We're going to make sure the environment is conducive for us to have a nice time. And at the same time, to send that alarm to this present administration, to any government, or even to the international community that people in Guyana are
Fed up.
Fed up with discrimination, fed up of people being suppressed and people being treated wrongfully. And we want to have a better society. A society, of course, that is run, and if I should say, under the partnership of National Youth and the AFC, would have done a far better job and will do a better job when we get back into government.
Well, thank you so much for that. I see that we are basically out of time here today, but I want to give you the opportunity. I don't know, outside of what we have discussed in terms of the fed up lime and that kind of thing, is there anything else you would like to tell my audience before we close off today?
Yes, no, as the national chairman for the Ghana Youth Student Movement acted, we always like to implore that young people are the majority in today's society. And young people are major stakeholders in everything, whether it be in the economics, healthcare, and more so politics. As important that we exercise our right not only to go and vote, but to hold those who are in certain positions accountable. So young people don't sit back and say, "No, let whatever happen, it doesn't matter because you still have to work hard." You have to work hard under the conditions that these people set for you. Everything is set by politicians, sadly, in this country, and we have to take up our mantle as stakeholders, the major and the most populated stakeholders, and do something about it. Whether it be to speak out against it, whether it be to protest against it, whether it be to educate persons about it in the most simplest ways. Not asking everybody to become a politician, to come to a podium, or to do as I am doing or should but in some way or the other, speak out. Do not just sit by idly and allow things to become the status quo, especially when you're uncomfortable, especially when you're fed up. That's my words for today.
I thank you so much for that. And, I do concur. I'll definitely be there, of course, because I think, like most of the population right now, we are super fed up of the operation of this government. And it is time, as Guyanese, we come together and we speak up for what is right, and we put actions to that. As we speak out, we must begin to act. So I will also urge you to continue to look at our different social media platforms, the People's National Congress Reform page, the APNU AFC Facebook page, our YouTube page, and stay in tune and be informed about the actions that we will be taking henceforth, and come out and support whatever we are doing so that we can deal with the situation that we are currently faced with in this country. So as I wrap up today, I want to thank you again, Mr. Copeland, for coming on the program to share this with us. And I want to thank my viewers for watching at the program. And again, I just remembered, I did not remind you. Well, I didn't inform you. This afternoon, we will be having the People's Parliament. We were doing that for most of the Friday nights, but with what is happening, we decided that tonight will be an appropriate night to get back to the People's Parliament, which is at Stabrook Market Square, of course. And if you're watching on your screen, you see there is a lined up of persons to speak to you there. We have Mr. Kemraj, Mr. MP Christopher Jones, MP Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford, Mr. Manzo Desir. You have Mr. Ganesh Maipal, Member of Parliament, Miss Annette Ferguson. It's an event as well this evening that you don't want to miss, as they as well bring you up to date, and let's talk about the situations that are happening. So if you are passing through that area, or you just want to come out and come down to Stabrook Market Square, you come on out. Let's talk. Let's deal with the issues at hand. So once again, I want to thank you for following us on Facing the Nation, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. And don't forget to share these videos even after we're finished. You can share them on your pages. Let's keep the conversation alive. Thank you for joining Facing the Nation. Have a wonderful afternoon.
'Cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice bread, not one garage, not a bit of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to